So anyway, what could I say, Trish?
I
I
know.
told everybody you were gonna bring cookies, so
I'm
hopefully
a big disappointment as usual, Douglas.
there's cookies. You know what though? If you were gonna bring cookies, let's say you did, what kind of cookies would you bring?
Well, chocolate chip cookies were famously invented the next town over from where I live.
In what Cookieville? Chocolate
No,
chip Cookieville?
Toll House cookies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm not joking. Toll House cookies were invented in Whitman, Massachusetts, which is where my grandparents and my mother was from. I
Okay.
went to Whitman Hanson Regional High School, so it's, a place. And the Toll House was a restaurant,
Okay.
and I believe her last name was Whitfield, Mrs. Whitfield,
Mrs.
um,
Tollhouse Mitchell.
Mrs. Toll House. She was in a rush and she wanted to make chocolate cookies, and so she threw chocolate in there,
Okay.
thinking that it would melt and make the cookies, the chicken, make the cookies chocolate. And of course, we all know when you put the chocolate chips in the cookie, they don't melt away, they all stay. And so Toll House cookies. So Nestle ended up buying the whole Toll House cookie thing in her recipe. In my grandparents' wedding reception was there. My grandmother was a waitress at that place. It was a very fancy restaurant.
Cookie
And,
fan?
yep, and she had her wedding there right after the end of World War II.
Wow, that is insane detail. I didn't think we would go that deep, but thank you
Hey,
for
you asked a question I knew something about.
right. Well, interesting though, there used to be, I think it was Marie Callender's. Remember Marie
Yeah.
Callender's?
Yep,
They
the
had
pie.
underrated burgers, actually, not a lot of people realize this,
Really?
and good pies, and I think it was them that used to have a Toll House cookie pie, which
Uh-huh.
is basically a pie that was a giant, thick
Chocolate chip.
chocolate chip cookie, which was
And was
great.
it delicious?
It was lovely, yes. The
That's
Toll
good.
House cookie pie, ladies and gentlemen. So, here we are. What's up, Trish?
Nothing much, Doug. What's up with you? How's your week? It is only Monday, so how bad could it be
It is
yet?
only Monday, and it's already been a week. Um, I'm working on my lists, I track things like that, so always have my lists going, Trish.
Good thing, Doug.
Good thing, and then, we have another storm of the century coming tonight into
I know,
California.
I saw that. So what is up? Are you gonna fall into the sea? How close to the sea are you, Douglas?
Not that f I mean, not that close, not that far. I
Well,
mean,
like,
30 minutes
oh,
inland.
oh, oh. So the sea is not gonna come up and gobble you.
No, the sea, not as likely your Bostonian, seafaring references. The sea was dangerous that day, my friends. But for those that don't know, I am in the middle, like, inland between San Diego and Los Angeles,
So
and,
Angeles.
we're in an okay spot. We're gonna get a bunch of rain, but there are spots that get it really bad, like lower to the coast, closer to the coast. And then there's all the mudslide people, so they have
Yeah. So do
the
you
rain.
have to worry about that?
No, not really. I
Okay.
mean, we are up on a little bit of a hill, but we're not, like, on a precipice, as they would
Okay.
say.
Okay, good.
So, I think the main thing we gotta worry about is, again, the California dogs not wanting to go out to use the bathroom.
So I saw a thing on TikTok or Instagram, I don't know, where a couple had built like a fort almost so the dogs could go out.
Well, yeah, you think you're kidding.
No, I'm not, and they had like a piece of like AstroTurf or whatever for the dogs, and the dogs would go out, then run right back in. Man, so you guys have wimpy dogs out there. That's what
Yeah,
happened.
California dogs, California dogs. So, but interestingly, so you mentioned that, and then I promise, ladies and gentlemen, the tens of you watching, we will get started. But we did have for a bit, we had this giant canopy that my wife borrowed from the high school that take one of those that takes 4 people to set up.
Yep, so
And
yeah.
we would put it out there and it looked like we had like a circus tent in our backyard for the last storm. And we thought that that was maybe a little ridiculous. So we'll go with a couple umbrellas and they can step out and venture out. Moose will go out, but Kevin takes a little bit before he really
I think
he'll
it's
get
hysterical that you could leave that out because here, the wind would just like that would be
there.
gone.
Yeah. I mean this is pretty it's a pretty no joke sturdy thing. And then the umbrellas, they could blow away, but see, I fasten them into the thing, Trish, with a little screw. Turn my little fingers,
That
and I try not to
you're
break a
there
nail.
to save poor Meredith.
That's right. How about your day? So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, here we are, here with Trish. Here we are again. This is the February podcast recap, seller community podcast from List Perfect and Listing Party. And then, Trish, we have a smorgasbord of other items this week, right?
Yes, of course we do. We are one for a smorgasbord.
That's right. We've got Wednesday morning at 9 Pacific. We have our new coffee talk
Coffee talk.
with our friend Teresa Cox.
I just would like you all to know that Doug and Teresa think they're making fun of me by calling it coffee talk, and I'm perfectly cool with it, so we're good.
Oh, you know what I watched yesterday? I almost called you, but I didn't want to bother you on the weekend. That new horror movie, Thanksgiving. It came to Netflix. I think it came to Netflix, and it's Eli Roth, who's a guy I love, a little gory, but it's based in Massachusetts, and they
Oh,
all
really?
talk like you. It was they did a
They
good
all
job.
talk like me. Yeah,
Patrick
because this
Swayze.
is how we talk.
That's right. We're gonna get to the Thanksgiving party.
Yeah, I saw my mother on Saturday, and I yelled, I wasn't no, but I was walking out of a gym with my mother, and I said, I see this guy in the gym said something funny, and I go, "Hey, be good, that's my mother." I said it, and I said to her, "Oh God, it's bad when you can hear it in your own." Like, I mean, I heard it like, "That's my mother."
There you go. That's my mother.
That
Well,
is, that's
yeah.
what I
So
said.
Thanksgiving though was Boston. It's the killer.
It's the killer. That's exactly right.
But
You would say
all right,
killer.
so we've got that. Wednesday we have coffee talk.
Coffee talk.
And then at 12 o'clock, obviously, the Snoop Doggy show. And do you know
And
what the
sometimes
theme is?
Trish.
Sometimes Trish.
How to start a podcast.
No.
Oh, that's next week?
Yeah, I gotta get that switched up. It's Dungeons and Dragons, Trish.
You're doing D&D on Wednesday?
D&D. Some people are interested.
Okay, so you know that my kid is like a D&D aficionado.
She is.
Yeah.
Now?
Yeah.
As an adult? I'm
She
just
only
kidding.
started playing probably when she was 28.
I stopped playing in junior high.
Oh, I played in high school. I had a boyfriend who was really into it.
Was he like a
Actually,
wizard? Did he wear
wait.
a wizard outfit for you,
No,
Trish?
it was after high school. So I was already married. Liz was already born. I was already divorced. I said in high school, no. They used to play D&D. I did not like it. I used to play this game called Wiz War.
I've played that a couple times myself.
A card game?
Oh, no. Something
Yes, Wiz
completely
War was like a card game that you played,
Oh,
and it was
see.
fun. I used to play that. I never got into D&D. It was too long. I wanted like a beginning and an end, and then I could decide if I want to play again or if I just want to go in the other room and drink beer. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't want to be there for hours.
Not just like Jolt Cola.
Exactly.
It tends to go on a bit. But no, I had fun when I was younger. Kim, Koala Trading Company. My brother was so into it. He would have his friends over on Saturday and they would play all day in his room. Me
Uh-huh.
being the sister had to bug them all day. That's true. That's true. I played for a bit. It was fun and I got into it like towards in the late 70s when it first came out. So,
Oh, I didn't play until after 92,
well,
94.
see if Liz wants to come on the show
I
tomorrow.
will. I'll ask her.
Just even for a cameo. Pop in.
Okay.
All right. All right. We ready to get started?
Sure.
All right. He would get so mad. It was great. LOL, Kim says. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to recap recent episodes. So we're going to go through and Trish, while I fire up the main site, can you tell us what we've added this year that we are, expanded the episodes, expanded the format a bit?
Sure.
Tell us what we've added and how you think it's going.
So each week we not only have a subject or a guest, because we're now doing both. Sometimes it'll just be subjects that Doug and I talk about. Sometimes it'll be a guest. But each week we have added a seller shout out or seller shout out. So that is people who have done something in the week that we'd like to acknowledge, or something that has gone really great that we would like to point out, or maybe somebody who's having some difficulty that we'd like to help. So anything like that. We've also added a Trish tip. or Trish's tip. I'm not sure how we say this yet, guys. And that is going to be reseller focused. And some of them will be really, really easy. Doug laughs because the first one I did was
Buy
what?
low, sell high. Brilliant.
But it's, then we kind of expanded on it a little and what you're looking for and stuff like that. So that was fun. And then we've also added in reseller news. So anything that's happened in the last week that we think is, if anybody's changed like shipping, or if there's been something at eBay or one of the other platforms, or if there's something that we think is coming up that we want you to know about. And then we've also kind of just talked about general things that maybe will affect reselling that aren't specifically reselling related. So it's been good. Wait,
Yeah, no,
did I remember them all?
So Trish tips.
Yep.
Seller shout outs.
Yep.
Seller news.
Yeah, I did remember them all, guys.
I remember it all. Fantastic job.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. Well,
it's going good. You asked me how it's going, and I think it's good. How do you?
I think it's good. I think it's great to start spreading the news.
Exactly.
And tell people what the word on the street is.
Exactly. We're good for word on the street. But tell us, hey, if anybody knows something that they think we should know, if anybody has somebody they would like to thank for helping them or maybe doing something extra for them, please, drop us a line. Doug will have to tell you where because I don't remember at the moment, but drop us a line because we would love to do that. We can do some of that also.
You do have a couple options, ladies and gentlemen. You can email us at podcast@listperfectly.com. You can also go to thesellercommunitypodcast.com. There is a contact page there, which has a lovely little form you can fill out and submit if you have a news tidbit, if you think you should be on the show, something like that.
Anything like that. If you think you would like to come on, tell us why and what you think. What you think that you would add, what value. We really are trying to up the value and not just the entertainment factor.
Yeah, which is fantastic. Obviously, that's what you're paying for.
Exactly.
But the rest is obviously gravy, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's get into it. So this episode that we're going to cover first was a little bit of an experimentation for us. It was a fun episode, and it was something that we did that is a preview, the shape of things to come. So can you talk about that for a sec, Trish?
Sure. So last year we did an in-person event called Camp Listing Party. It was in Phoenix in the summer. And so we had some VIP people there, and we kind of did a VIP camp like reunion summit in the winter to kind of give them more value, to kind of talk about things, get there. But we were also doing it internally to kind of see how we could do virtual events, how they would work, when's a good time, what people are looking for. Because Doug and I, and List Perfectly in general, we want to give more value. We want to make sure that we are helping you succeed. And so this is one of the ways that we hope in the future that we can do that.
So, we're giving advice. It's probably, experienced sellers giving advice might be a good idea to listen to them. And, it might not work for you, but always be open to different perspectives. I think there's compromise in every conversation, every debate, every argument, every schism. There's a middle road, and you got to be able to see that middle road, and you got to be able to compromise and learn and evolve, or,
No, and I think that really goes for reselling. When the platforms change, when we change, when the post office does something, people get bananas about this stuff. And there are some things that we have no control over. It is their sandbox. It's eBay's sandbox. It's List Perfectly sandbox. It's, even though we try to be very reactive to what sellers want, there's still some confines within technology and things like that. But it's USPS's sandbox. And if we want to sell with them, if we want to send with them, if we want to use them, we need to make sure that we're playing within their parameters. And sometimes as resellers, we get very stuck in what we're doing, and people do that too. We get very stuck in our ways and we don't want to change, even when it might be good for everybody, Doug.
Sorry, Trish, I started to doze off there. No,
it was a little
You're
Little too lectury, Doug.
no, you're exactly right, you're exactly right. And then, to bring it back around, so we
Yeah,
did this thing, Trish set up this kind of a revisit with some of the people that had bought VIP packages and just
right.
getting together a week, kind of like a week of virtual workshops, touching base with the team, but a lot of seller topics as well. And then we had a discussion with our friends Vanessa Porter and Tawana Peoples.
Yep.
And we talked about selling, we talked about listing party. They both have great stories. Tawana is hilarious and it's
Tawana is
just
a hoot and a
to
half, man.
to the point,
Yeah.
and I
There's
love her
no
story
there's no bush with Teresa. I mean, with Tawana, we are right at the point. You
right
know what
there.
I mean? And Vanessa is really honestly a really good friend of mine. She's very sweet. She is one of those people where she hears something and 2 days later she'll text you and say, "Hey, I heard you say this. What's happening?" She is just a really nice, sweet person, and she tries so hard and she wants to be successful. And so, those people you want to help so much, right? Because they want to be successful. They want to put in the hard work. They're not trying to skirt the issue or do something else. They're willing to do the hard work. And so you just hope the best. And so it was really great talking to both of them. And they both have very much, very different ways of doing this. And so that's great. And so it was fun.
Yeah, no, it was great, and, they're always fun. Vanessa has been to a lot of events, so we've
Yeah.
seen her in person, and I love Tawana's story. She talks about how she used to work for one of the big movie studios in their, media department. She started in videotape, and then when stuff would like DVD and stuff would come out, and then she goes, "And I would always get a copy of every movie," and then she goes, "I don't watch movies."
I don't
So
watch
she
movies.
has
I
these
don't like movies.
I don't even like movies. So, but she's another too, like in retirement, Tawana is
Yeah.
very, very eager to learn. And I think aren't they both in your mastermind as
They
well?
are. They both show up to Mastermind. Tawana, I would say, is probably a 50%er, but she's on the West Coast and she's a night owl. So when she's there at 6 a.m., so God bless her. I mean, I wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
And Vanessa comes. If Vanessa isn't there, there's a reason. So she's there all the time. Yeah.
And then, we moved into seller shout outs and we shouted out Tawana and Vanessa. And then we also shouted out, and this was cool. He was so excited. Paul Apollonia, who's been selling on eBay forever. And he was part of the eBay education program, and
Yeah.
he still is one of those guys that goes out in the community at the library and does the how to sell on eBay stuff. Cool guy, friend of the show, and he was so excited because he was on the eBay for Business podcast for the
Yeah.
first time recently.
Which is great. I mean, he is a great guy. He's a chapter leader in eBay. He's got an eBay meetup. He does things. Doug and I have been to his meetup, I think at least twice.
Yeah,
And he's one of those guys he wants to help everyone. But you're right. Him being on the eBay podcast was a really big deal for him. And good for him. I mean,
yeah.
I've never been on Griff, Brian,
Well, if you need me to put in a word for you, Trish, maybe
whatever. It's too
I can
late.
help out.
Too late.
Oh no. And then Trish's tip was around photography. It was that famous, what is it? Dance like no one's watching, something like that?
No.
Oh,
Take a photo like you're not allowed to write a description, and write a description like you're not allowed to take a photo.
okay. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, no,
Well,
that is a great
we
tip.
now know on mobile, especially, people don't click into the description most of the
Yeah.
time. They buy off the photos. So just be aware of that. Think of that. This is going to be the only thing, and I would rather you undersell and over deliver a little. It's really a bad thing when somebody thinks they're going to get something in pristine condition or whatever, and then they get it and it's not. So, but if they think they're getting it, oh, okay, it looks good, and then they get it and it's awesome, then so that was
Well,
kind of the deal.
well, and thank you for asking Trish for my photo example. So I don't know if you remember Trish, but I worked at eBay for a little bit.
You did. I do remember. You tell me daily.
Right. Seller community team. And we used to get people come to us all the time and be like, "Hey, my sales are down. Can you guys look at my listings?" Blah, 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 blah. And I remember one time I'm like, "I'm going to look at this guy's listings. Hopefully he's not listening." Maybe he is.
I hope he is.
Anyway, but this is what I learned from Griff at eBay early on is like, you got to have good photos because that's the first thing people see when they're scrolling. There's a lot of competition. They're going to extrapolate the experience out. If you've got crappy photos, they're going to be like, is it crappy customer service? So
Mhm.
I looked at this guy's listings, and he was an auto parts seller, seller.
Taylor.
So, and the first photo I saw was for used uh, car headlights, and they were obviously in his side yard on top of a trash can. That was his photo.
Yeah, not good.
It's not 1995, buddy.
Not good. No, no, no.
But
Yeah.
I mean, but that's the and then, but right down the list, there's other options with a great photo, a well-lit photo, blah, blah, blah. But no, that's an important tip, and I think that's the point of Trish's tips, just to have something.
Yeah,
I know
just
I
a
tease
little.
you. Yeah, I know I tease you about buy low, sell high, but that is a good tip.
Well, I mean, it's just when you first start, I think sometimes we overcomplicate it. And then I think when we're experienced, then we kind of start to do that again. We kind of lose sight of what was really important at the beginning. And so I really try to think of things that I think would help either people who are brand new or
Yeah.
experienced.
And then I'll just touch base on a couple other things because obviously, if you haven't listened or if you like to read, uh, like Vicky,
Yeah. So Vicky Zilverberg, she said she downloads the transcripts. But what I'd like to say is since I don't know, maybe the last 2 months or so, I've been doing the transcript. So I try to put in lots of fun links. Like if
yeah,
they're talking about a book, I try to put the book in there. If we're doing, whatever, I try to put the links in there. So things that we talk about, you can actually go and see.
it enhances the experience, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what the sellercommunitypodcast.com is all about. But I'm going to touch on a couple quick news items.
Okay.
So obviously, but I'm not going to go into super detail because you can listen or read, or you can go to your notifications/banner messages and list perfectly, which you should be doing regularly. But first of all, I'm going to drop, let's see if you hear this. Did you hear that, Trish?
I heard it.
Auto delist.
I don't even know what you're talking about. I didn't even realize that happened. It was like,
Uh-oh. 'Cause Trish didn't read her banner messages,
yeah.
ladies.
No, such a big deal. It's so awesome. Across all platforms, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, and the first to do so many platforms, first to do all of our marketplaces, we say, because
Sorry.
yeah, not Instagram yet, not Shopify yet. I
Yeah,
was going to
sorry.
say Spotify, but not Spotify either, Trish, because that's
Across
a music
all
site.
platforms. What am I supposed to marketplace,
All marketplaces,
marketplaces.
and we understand. There's some other. What's that? Do you hear that, Trish?
I don't.
Sounds like jungle or perhaps voodoo drums off in the distance.
Tiki
We
drum.
know, yeah, there we go. We know, ladies and gentlemen, there are some other options out there, but they're still in beta. They only do a few marketplaces. They're teasing you. And frankly, I've heard about issues because voodoo's scary, Trish.
It is.
Don't mess with the evil voodoo, Trish.
I'll try not to.
But
I did go to New Orleans and there was a lot
yes,
there.
New Orleans is awesome. Yeah.
I had to keep my head down.
Madame Leveau. And other options, we test the stuff, we ran it through betas. We don't release anything till it's ready. And again, we're always taking feedback. We'll talk about this, but the new catalog is released. The new grid catalog. I love it. I love the new sidebar. I love some of the new features. You can go back and forth, but we're already taking feedback on that and putting
Yeah,
some
so
stuff
I was gonna
into
say we're
place.
already taking feedback on that. I know that they had a really big meeting about that today. So, they do take what we say seriously. So
There we go.
yeah.
And you gotta know too, so we look at those comments that you make in the group. We especially look at, the comments that you submit through the site, and they go all the way to the top of the pyramid.
They do.
Everybody sees them, and, they are weighed, and obviously, if we get a lot of comments about something, a lot of suggestions about something, it's gonna get more weight than something else, but everything is legitimately considered. Some stuff is tabled because we definitely have a roadmap. And thanks for bringing it back around, Trish.
You're welcome,
So,
Doug.
like listing sync and sales notification were steps to auto delist.
Yes, exactly. And Link, I think, is one of the greatest unsung heroes at the moment, right? The Link can help you fix any issues you're having. I mean, an issue finder, the new catalog's great. So it's very
Yeah.
exciting.
Tells you those issues that potential issues you could have with your listings, maybe some of their compliance issues, listing issues, because you want to have everything synced up with the catalog so your auto delist works, so your sales detection works, all of that cool stuff.
Right. And the great thing about Link is if you're somebody, we all know, I know eBay doesn't say this, but we all know that eBay drops things sometimes, right? So what? So
What?
if you go in and you see something that is, not listed anymore, and you can figure out that it's not in your catalog and you relist it, you can then link it. So then it's back in your catalog. It's just a much easier way to do these things. It can keep you have a really tight rein on your catalog. And if you do that, that will solve a myriad of issues for you. And
It,
it also will give you a myriad of information. And one of the things that I'm always talking about in Mastermind is to make decisions based on knowledge and information. And so this will help you with that.
yes, Trish, it is magical.
Oh, Douglas.
All right, anything else?
No, sir.
Episode 3 before we move on?
I don't think so.
All right. Next, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to move on to season 4, episode 4, ladies and gentlemen. So, tell everybody, Trish, about our new feature where we, casually refer to them as the Trish and Doug episodes, but it's basically we're talking about it's Trish and Doug is in lowercase, dot 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 and parentheses. I'm like, so Trish, tell us about.
So we're trying to bring a little bit more reseller business focus to the podcast. Having people on and tell us their stories is always going to be the main component of the seller community podcast because it's the seller community. But Doug and I both feel that having a little bit more business and a little bit more reseller knowledge would help everybody. And so some of the times I think it will be me talking about my knowledge, but I do think we'll end up having other people come on who are really great sellers who maybe specialize in something. So if you're interested in something, or if you think you have a great idea, please again drop us a line, because this was all about reselling customer service and about how it is easier to save a client than to acquire a new one, right? And we want people to come back. And we also want to save our customers for the platform. If you're a reseller and you have if you're a buyer, I apologize, and you have a really bad interaction with a reseller, the problem is that most people don't understand that we're not eBay, right? Or they don't understand that we're not Macari. In their head, they might know it's coming from somebody else, but the whole thing would be clouded in this. I had a terrible experience on eBay. I'm not buying from them again. Or I'm at a terrible experience on Macari. I'm not buying from them. So one of the things we talked about was why it's important to try to have excellent customer service and how you can set up some things and how you can take your emotions out of it. Because it is very upsetting sometimes when you think you're doing every single thing right and you still can't make somebody happy. So it was about taking out the emotion and setting up some guidelines and things like that. It was a great episode, I thought.
Yeah, no, it was really fun, really great to get, obviously your perspective, but then also I've always been surprised that, obviously there's different levels of sellers. Trish is a 6-figure. I'm a 1 to 3 figure
Okay,
reseller.
let's just say Trish used to be a 6-figure, then she started working a full-time job, and now not so much. But I do have the
Also 1 to 3 figure seller
okay,
joining
way
my
more than that, people, just not up to 6
mastermind.
at the moment.
But no, it's always been interesting to me, sellers of different levels, but and I know I've said this before, but you do have to think of yourself at any level as a business to be successful as a seller at any level. And part of what's included in that is customer service. Is like, yeah, you should be responsive to your customers. You should be cool. You should know how to deal with testy customers. because you, even if you're just a hobby part-time seller, you do want to sell more. You do want to maybe try and cultivate customers, things like that. You're going
And
to
if
have
you're in
to
a
deal with
niche
feedback and email.
exactly, and if you're in a niche market,
Oh,
right? If
yeah.
you're in a niche down market, this is even more important because those communities can get smaller and smaller. So you don't want to get the reputation of, oh, don't go to them. They don't blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So I do think you're right. And if you are a hobby seller or a part-time seller, I think maybe it's even more important because you don't have the sales velocity to absorb bad customer service.
Exactly.
Whereas if you're somebody who's selling volume, you can absorb quite a few bad experiences and keep it all going. But
Yeah.
if you're smaller, if you sell less, it's even more important.
Well, and you talked about too is niching, knowing your product, responding to your feedback, responding to questions, responding to reviews, because that's gonna help you build up. And then the other thing is definitely with eBay, you do that stuff and it's gonna build up your seller level and all that.
Right. Absolutely. And you want to be, even if you're a part time seller, even if you're a hobby seller, you want to give somebody else a professional experience because they're more apt to come back.
There you go. There you go. All right, Trish, anything else about customer service for resellers?
Be nice. No,
Be
I don't know.
nice, be cool, be kind. So go and listen to that, but also seller shout outs. We shouted out our friends, the consignment chats ladies. They had a challenge winter warm up listapalooza. And so
Yeah,
they do
these
this
girls,
every once
I'm
in a
telling
while.
you, I said this when we talked about them. You want to get some crap done, go to see Samantha at Consignment Chats because she is no joke. She will get your butt to list. She takes no prisoners, this girl. She's awesome.
And it was cool. So they did online and brick and mortar, and
Yeah.
winners included Cameron Lazan, Ashley Motley, Matthew Miles, Nisha Drinkard, and Ashley Walker, and obviously Pam Arnold, who wins everything.
So Pam and Nisha are both in Mastermind. And who won? Do we know?
Yeah, that's who I just said. The list. That was the list.
Oh, those were the winners.
Yeah.
Oh, so Pam, of course, won. You're right. She wins
She wins.
everything.
I've seen her win multiple things in a day.
I know. It's
But that
great.
was cool. One of the cool things out and about there. Um, let's see. I'm looking to see who else we mentioned. Looks like we shouted out Teresa Cox, our friend Teresa, who we work with closely.
Yes, we do.
We do. We talk to her a lot every day.
We do.
And then
And I
we
mention her every day. I do when I'm talking to other people. I'm like, well, Teresa Cox says. I do. I say it like at least twice a day.
Teresa, T Money,
Yeah.
many nicknames, Trish.
I say T Money
There's
a lot.
many nicknames. Everybody's got nicknames, but those are hers.
Some
Um,
we don't know about.
some we don't know about, some we would love to know about, but we don't know. And then Trish, you had obviously a customer service related seller tip. And you're looking like yeah, it was kind of like you had said, be cool, give yourself grace, take time off if you need it, things like that.
Don't answer right away. Don't answer and then regret what you say later.
Yeah,
Just
you
let
gotta
let it
cool
slide for a
down.
while. Yeah, cool down.
Then
And I don't know if you know this, Doug, but from Boston, sometimes that's hard for me.
no,
I
Trish,
want to tell you right away, and then later I'm like, "Oh, sorry."
Trish,
I know.
goodness gracious.
It's bad quality.
And then, in the news, we talked about the eBay layoffs, which were sad. Actually, back Paul Apollonia put out a really good video talking about it. And, part of it's the economy. Part of it is, I think, with tech and with eBay, stuff exploded during the pandemic. I
I was
mean, not
just
to
gonna say
blame
that.
everything on the pandemic, but it had a widespread effect that we're still seeing. I know people who are still recovering from it. Kids in school, kids in workplaces, I think they lost out in a lot of interaction with other people and they just have a tough time dealing with stuff.
I agree, and it's also I definitely think that, businesses reacted and hired, right? And then when the money and the everything started to calm down, what do you do with all those extra people? I mean, of course, some of it is going to end up in layoffs, unfortunately. And I do think that, eBay is the business that has historically gone up and down a little. They lay off, they do pick up, they go blah blah, and I think that just happens in business. And so we just have to keep on going. And hell, it's going to happen to us.
Yeah.
It's happened in my own business. Where I was during the pandemic is definitely not where I am now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Um, yeah, we talked about that too. And it's like, yeah, so, you know, there's a lot of volatility right now in the job industry, in the economy. But selling is still a viable income source. Um,
Absolutely.
you know, but there's a lot of competition. There are a lot of marketplaces. You definitely have to put in a lot of work. And, List Perfectly is a great tool to help you do that. That's kind of why we are here. But
Absolutely.
yeah, we talked about that a bit, and we talked about how, and this has come up since then, about eBay Lives. Maybe a lot of people think that's a missed opportunity right now for eBay. And, maybe they should be leaning into it a little more. It's hard to say.
And I know that we had somebody on the podcast last week, and that was really their thought. I'm not sure if I totally buy it. You and I have spoken about this many times, and I'm not 100% sure about it. I know you think it's going to be the way eventually. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Um, but it's an interesting thing. But the thing about reselling, about any of this, I think, is that reselling is an equal opportunity employee. And I mean, equal opportunity, not employee, equal opportunity.
Yeah.
Anybody, the barrier to entry is almost zero on reselling.
Yeah.
Everyone has stuff in their house. Almost everyone has a phone. The library, you can go and use a computer at the library if you need to. The way to get into reselling is almost a zero barrier. So if you're willing to do the hard work, if you're willing to put your nose down to the grindstone, anybody can do this. And that is what's great about this, is that this really is not something that you need a lot of money or a lot of items or anything to start with. You can just start.
And it's easier than it used to be. A lot
Way
easier.
easier than it used to be.
All the stories we hear, the stories we know.
Way
Um,
easier.
yeah, but still, still a viable option. Don't give up. But
Mm-mm.
um, again, going back to always be willing to learn, always be willing to evolve, and we're there for you to try and help.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I've said this a million times. List Perfectly is not successful unless you guys are successful. And we as a team really believe that. And I know that Clara and Amanda believe that. That is something that we are successful when the people who use our product are successful. And so our main objective is to help you get to the wherever you're trying to get to.
Exactly. And speaking of, and this was a wacky, wacky, fun episode. Speaking of sellers out there who provide resource value. So this has the distinction. This was a great, lively, fun chat. I wish we could have shared some outtakes, but this was the podcast with the most people at one time, 6 people. And, it took, it was like editing War and Peace. It was a good form. So the Reseller Information Network guys came on.
They are a hoot.
They are a hoot.
They really are. We first met them at FlipCon last year or the year before. Yeah.
You met them, you met them the year before.
Yeah. And they ended up coming on, and they have this thing called the Reseller Information Network. You guys should go check it out. They have a YouTube and some Instagrams. It's all in the show notes. So this show note is a really good one because they have all of their separate stuff, all of their together stuff. So go check out their show notes. But they were really great. They are, very much into anybody can do this, right? That this is no gatekeeping. They want you to know everything they know. And there are a lot of people in this business who gatekeep maybe a little because they feel like they have to. And these guys just put it all out there.
Yeah.
So they're really great. It was fun. They talk over each other. They do lots of stuff. It's great.
Yeah, it's great. And they would make, make a joke. Somebody would say something, the others would laugh, and then 5 minutes later, "Oh yeah, I was joking when I said that back there. I don't sell fabric." And
Like, how the heck are we supposed to know? We don't
well,
know.
but it was fun, and it's a cool story because one of them was following some guy who did an 8-hour, basically 8-hour
He was
live
in
cast.
Australia, that guy. He was in Australia, and
He
he
was
did
like,
it, and they
"I should
liked
do
it.
this. I
Yeah.
should do this." And then these other guys started watching him, and he was like, "You guys are showing up all the time. Do you want to do something together?" And they're like, "Okay."
Okay.
And then they started doing something together. So,
Good.
great interview, cool guys. And again, like Trish said, is like, this is why you should go to the show notes, because all the links are in there to get to, the YouTubes, the social sites,
Inches. Yep.
everything like that. And then we seller shout outs. We shouted out our buddies, the Seller Club podcast. They did their first listing party. They have more to come up. Anna Packer,
And a
Ken
backer.
Kennedy, Glenn Hustler Hacks, great newish podcast, a few months old, and they did a listing party. They actually just did a giveaway, co-sponsored giveaway with List Perfectly that is ending today, giving away
Oh,
an iPhone 15, Trish.
you told me I couldn't enter, so I didn't go look.
You are not allowed.
I didn't want to be sad.
That's right. You didn't want to be too disappointed when you didn't win.
Exactly.
And then obviously your good friends Chris and Julie Brown.
Yeah, the Ohio Tiki Nuts. I talked a little bit about them. Julie is a tiki seller, basically. Chris is Capots, and very successful Capat guy. And together they really like tiki. They're in the tiki community. And so I was talking about how finding something that you're already passionate about, maybe turning that into something you sell, that if you know something about this, and then also, maybe if you don't sell it full time, but you are going somewhere. I went to Texas with my mother and my daughter, and I went to a tiki bar basically for them and bought mugs for them, and then next time I see them, they'll take them and resell them. So
Tiki
fun.
bars. Tiki bars are fun. Tiki bars are fun. I was gonna sing you another song.
You don't have to.
Okay,
I
thank you.
remember the last one.
Tiki Man.
Tiki Man. And I'd never heard it, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's shocking that I'd never heard Tiki Man before.
And then we also shouted out Ed the reselling writer, who had recently had his biggest ever sale.
Yeah, he did. So that was awesome. Good for him.
$600 bundle sale.
On Posh. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah,
And he sells used shoes. So he's not like selling high end, I mean, that was a lot of shoes for him.
And then we shouted out a lady who's we love her, a good friend of ours, Trish's best friend, who's going to be coming on the show soon. But we gave Diane Lassonde and the Fearless Living Fund a special shout out.
Which is nice.
Yeah, how's she doing?
She's okay.
Okay, yeah. And she's a trooper. She will still tell you how it is.
Yeah.
Got a mohawk now, which I love.
No, now it's all gone. There's nothing. Yeah,
so
she had a mohawk for like a day or so, and then it started coming out again, and so she just shaved it all. Okay. But we're gonna have Diane on, and I told her, I did this morning. I actually said to her on the phone, I said, "So we're gonna have you on." She's like, "Okay, great." And I said, "We need to have 2 shows." And she said, "Why?" And I said, because Diane knows so much reselling information, and she has done so much, right? She's been a reseller. She did estate sales. She owned a store. So she has a lot of knowledge. I don't want it to be all about her being sick and about the fund, so we're going to separate those so we can really get the knowledge out of her, because she is a wealth of information.
And Diane's been selling on eBay forever. She runs the eBay meetup, the Boston area eBay meetup with Trish. That's how they met.
New England eBay e-commerce sellers, I believe, if I'm right. Yep, that's how we met. Yeah.
NEBECS for short. Nebex.
I don't remember.
So anyway, but yeah, that's how they met. It's a great story. Trish had her store. Diane came in.
She yelled at me.
You can get help. And they've been there quite the pair. And then that's right. And if you don't know, real quick, so Diane does have stage 4 cancer. and she started up a charity called the Fearless Living Fund, which is great. And proceeds benefit the Blind Center of Nevada, which we
Correct.
know well from. They're big eBay sellers. They have an
They are.
amazing operation. It's
They have
such
this
a cool
amazing operation, and the boss is there, and we've had an event there. So, I mean, we love them.
we know the place well. Boss Reseller Remix has been held there the 3 years, and then I would imagine next year as well.
Yeah.
There you go. So there is that. But yeah, if you're interested in helping out, look for the Fearless Living Fund. And again, the links are in the show notes. And then, yeah, anything else on that, Trish?
No, sir.
All right. And then I'm looking at your seller tip. You talked a little bit about comps and pricing structure, and how sellers look at it differently than other retailers do. You talked about buying at wholesaler prices, double or tripling it, and that's your retail price usually. This isn't buy low, sell high though.
No, I mean, but this is more about how, traditional retailers kind of have a set way that they do their pricing. They'll buy something at X and they'll either three times, two times it or three times it, and that's the retail price. Um, as a reseller, we don't do that. So we go on market pricing or what the market will bear usually. And then people kind of either go below that or above it. And they kind of try to have some, they try to decide what their pricing structure is. So we just kind of talked about pricing and the different ways to look at it and how to think about pricing.
Yeah, yeah, no, and that was a great tip. We also talked about so then getting into the seller news, we talked about um, the Pro Plus promotion for all Pro Plan members extended through the end of 2024.
It was
Yes,
so
Trish didn't read her banner. What? Really?
Trish
So,
needs to read her banner messages. No, I knew it. I'm just kidding. I was shocked when it happened. In real life, I was shocked. I mean, I woke up and it was in our internal thing, and I was like, what just happened? So that was awesome. I think extending it till the end of the year is awesome. Get in. If you are not on Pro Plus, all you have to be is a pro member, and then you can opt in, and then you don't pay anything different for the rest of the year. And if you're somebody who was afraid to try it, or you thought, I don't want to get myself in a position, do it, because you're going to have months and months to try it, and you can get your store full, figure out all the features, and it's awesome.
there you go. Real quick, hello, TCAT. Hello as well. I am also in rainy-ish California, coming soon to where I am. We will survive. Um,
We will
but
survive.
here's we're always talking about Trish tips. Here's a Doug tip, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I mentioned this Doug tip in the episode. Start your listings on mobile, but also here's a Doug tip. Try out that Pro Plus plan and get as many listings as you can get in there. Try out all the features, the big ones, the little ones. I love the barcode scan feature.
I know.
Starts up your
So
listing.
good.
Try
And
it
I would
all.
like to say, you don't need a barcode scanner. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just don't
It's
want
free.
people to think they need to. You can use your camera on your phone or the camera on your laptop.
Sorry, I was taking a selfie.
I knew that. I know you well enough to know
Out,
that.
send out to my
Your
legions of fans.
your tens
Um,
of fans.
that's my tens of fans. It's my mother's birthday, so I got to call her later.
It is.
Yeah, yeah.
Happy birthday, Mrs. Smith.
Thank you so much. I will let her know. She'll be like, "What?" Snoop mommy, I call her.
You do not.
I do, I do. She loves it.
Happy birthday, Snoop Mommy.
Thank you so much. She doesn't listen. I don't think she knows I'm on the YouTube. My kids
I'm
know, but they
screaming.
choose to ignore it.
Yeah, don't worry. So do mine. So mine, I only have one. So does she.
Unbelievable. All right. Well, reseller
Unbelievable.
information. Thank you so much, Kim. I will let her know as well. Reseller Information Network, great episode. Give it a listen. Check those guys out as well. New friends of the show, and we're going to have them back on individually, so it's a little more manageable. All right,
Yes.
Trish. We've had, and I'm going to say this. I we've had some controversial episodes,
Yeah.
and this fellow would agree because he says he's controversial. He's not lacking in confidence. He was a cool guy. This was a fun chat, and I actually had a couple people reach out and be like, "Oh, you had Kings of eBay on. I watch him on TikTok."
Yeah,
And
he's big on TikTok.
and yeah, that's what appealed to me with this guy, Brian Kings of eBay, and because he had come, I saw him on TikTok, but he had gone on probably about a month or so ago. He'd gone on the eBay for Business podcast to talk about TikTok, selling on TikTok, sellers on TikTok. Not so much, not so much selling in TikTok shop, but more like
Yeah,
being a seller and a resource on TikTok. So he goes live all the time,
he
and
does.
he's a resource on there. And again, he says, I'm controversial. Not everybody likes me. He said, but he also said, I've got an open door, bring it on. He's like, I dish it out so I can take it. But Kings of eBay, Trish, tell us about Kings
So
of eBay.
what's funny is he first came on my radar about a year ago. Um when he wanted to have a Boston meetup, and I was like, "Who the heck is having a Boston meetup?" And I don't know them. And I
Yeah, yeah.
called Diane, she's like, "I don't know that guy." So, we don't know him for a couple of reasons. He really is a virtual dude. He's not doing a lot in person. His eBay meetup is virtual. And he also, he's really into the whole um he's really into the whole thing about TikTok and the community and spreading knowledge. And anybody who's going to put themselves out there, I give them props. It's not easy. It's not easy to go out and to share your stuff and have a thick enough skin not to let it bother you. Though, of all the many people I have met in my life, this dude has thick skin.
Oh yeah. All right. I think he can take it, and he's
Really
done a
good.
lot. He does a lot. He's done a lot. It was a very interesting interview, and Trish, I always love the opportunity to talk about the TikTok.
You do. You do love the
I'm a
TikTok.
fan.
I love the TikTok. I got to be honest.
Well,
Me
Trish
and
and
the
I
TikTok are quite good friends.
Trish and I send each other little clips all the time, and they're usually Boston versus New York
They
or New
are.
York versus Boston related funny stuff. So that's I probably our primary use of TikTok.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, and to be quite honest, it's mostly like fun stuff that I look at before I go to sleep. It's not even reselling. Once I knew he was coming on, I really started to pay more attention to the resale community on TikTok. And what I have to say is anybody who does not have TikTok, and if you are a reseller, I would at least look at it on your desktop, because if you want to search for something specific, the algorithm in TikTok is crazy.
Yeah, it is wacky. I'm a big fan of the algorithm. It's interesting
It's
because
amazing.
and it's based on what you actually look at, not based on what like
You
Facebook is
search.
like, "Oh, Trish likes this. She's
Yeah.
gonna like Boston cranberry bog content."
Right.
And but
'Cause
no,
there's a ton of that. There's a ton of Boston cranberry bog content.
well, and this is the episode where you're like, "Well, I went down a rabbit hole and I got into lesbian bread making."
Okay. First of all, she was really entertaining. I
It
couldn't
is
help it. So
entertaining. And all the packaging is flannel. Not many people
she
realize.
wasn't in flannel. I'm gonna have to go find her now. I mean, I haven't seen her since the pandemic when I was at home baking bread because I had nothing to do.
But to circle it back around, it's based on what you look at, and you can shift it in a day. So
Yeah,
I see a lot of I
amazing.
see a lot of music stuff. I see a lot of flat top grilling. I see
Okay.
a lot of seller stuff. I love my flat top griddle. I'm still learning how to cook things all completely, so you don't get salmonella. But I'm learning. I'm much better than I used to be, and part of it is managing everything. But it can shift in a day, and I mean, everybody should be looking at this algorithm that
It's
TikTok.
amazing. In the TikTok shop, I know this is shocking. This is gonna be shocking to nobody, especially Doug. I end up buying stuff all the time. I'm like, "Ooh, that's cute. Ooh, I should get that."
Yeah, and my kids are buying on there, and they're really crazy incentivizing people to buy. They're really crazy incentivizing people to sell. Apparently, there's a lot of
There's a
a
lot of
lot of deals.
resellers on there who are doing some interesting things on the TikTok shop. So go
Yeah,
in and check it out. It's really an interesting thing. I think it has a huge reseller community, and a lot of them, Brian talked about this, but a lot of them do lives every day. And so, if you are having a problem, you could go in and say, "Hey, what do you guys think about this?" And you might get your answer. But I would like to say, if you're having a problem, go into the 24-hour room on Listing Party. If you belong to List Perfectly, make sure you are utilizing Listing Party, because Listing Party can give you immediate access to things, right? Every single day, if you're having an issue, you can go in. There's a 411. We have, eBay 101. We have LP 101. We List Perfectly 101. We have a 24-hour room that allows you to go in and see who's in there and say, "Hey guys, I had a return. I don't know what to do about this. How would you guys handle it?" And I do mastermind every morning. And then twice a week, I do next level, which is getting yourself to like the next level. But there is always new stuff in there. Doug and I are now with Teresa doing that coffee talk. Coffee talk. So come in and see us. The thing about these platforms, right, is they're only as good as people will use them. And we'd love you to come on in.
yeah, there you go. I mean, we've got stuff going all the time. I'm tempted to click into the 24-hour room. If we had more time, I would, but maybe next time. But
Yeah.
there's somebody was telling us, oh, we interviewed Jason Wells last week, and he's
Yep.
like, yeah, he's like, I have a full-time job saving airports and
Yeah.
their internet. And he's like, I list at night. And he goes, I like to drop in the 24-hour room, and there's always people in there. And then again, you can request a host if you've got a
Yep.
topic you want to talk about. We're seeing more and more of that. And then you can ask for a List Perfectly team member to be there with you if you so
Yeah.
choose.
If you don't feel comfortable doing it alone, Doug or I or Teresa or almost anybody be happy to do it with you.
Yeah, yeah. And then, yeah, see? And
Yeah.
then, so going back to the Kings of eBay episode, obviously yeah, no, that went deep. Seller shout outs. We talked about and this is, we're going to talk about it again when we record today. Big news in the seller community. Not necessarily, because I looked at the wording today. Not necessarily retirement, ladies and gentlemen. Trish, I don't want to get too
What?
controversial, but I'm retiring. Just kidding. Brian Burke is stepping away from eBay. He's very careful with his wording. So I
He said, I
assume
haven't read that. He said, "I'm stepping away from eBay." He didn't say he was retiring.
the next chapter, he says.
I hope. I knew you were going to do that. I hope that he is doing something spectacular and that we can all follow him. I enjoy him thoroughly. He is a great guy. He's so smart and he's always willing to help. I really do. I love Brian.
Good guy. Obviously, we know I was on his team. We're gonna get him on the show at some point
Yes.
soon. I think we'll get him
Yes.
on there, see what he's got to say. But he's been with eBay. It was like 23 years. Um, and I don't know if you know this, Trish. So I used to work at eBay, and
I,
when I was at eBay on his team, his 20th anniversary, they flew me up. They rolled me in a cake, and I popped out and I yelled, "Did somebody order a seller?"
you did
And
not.
no,
This is
that's
all a lie.
but they did fly me up. Yeah.
Okay. And Doug, when you die and you have a headstone, it's gonna blah blah blah, and at the bottom it's gonna say, "Hey, did you know I used to work at eBay?"
Over eBay, asterisk. Yeah, and I got in trouble because his early 20s-ish daughter had never been to Vegas, and I was like, "You gotta go to Vegas, you should go to Vegas."
Yeah.
But no, nice, good, no, seriously, good guy, big seller advocate. There's a little bit of little bit of controversy right now in the seller community. Some sellers are worried that maybe eBay's moving away a bit. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. But
Okay.
Trish, I apologize. I'm gonna have to stop the show because I'm seeing one of the greatest comments of all time from Kim. She knows me so well. Listening to Duran Duran while grilling with your Morrissey Funko Pop. Oh no. Nope,
She just
Trish.
knows you so
Nope,
well.
Trish. It's not Timothy Chalamet, it's Morrissey. He would like to speak to you, but he must faint. He's swooning.
He's swooning.
Yes.
Hey, he kind of does look like Timothy Chalamet.
And me. Right?
And right, absolutely. You look like a Funko Pop.
Thanks.
Kim knows you so well.
I know she does. She does. She'll never forget her greatest listing of all time with my help. A Duran Duran listing, actually. And then, obviously we talked about, we shouted out actually literally the TikTok seller community because obviously Kings of eBay, that's where I met American Arbitrage. Some other, Sunny Las Vegas is on there. Mikey Bags of Money is on there.
Yeah.
Lady Arbitrage is on there. Other sellers.
Yeah.
And then there's just that active community on there. People we know, some of them been on the show. Trish and I are on there. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
And then, ladies and gentlemen, this was fun. Trish got really excited about this Trish tip, and she had a prop, ladies and gentlemen. The flat rate, legal sized envelope tip.
I did. I got really excited about that. And I give in the show notes the links to the flat rate and the one that I spoke about that had the window on the inside, the clear window, so you can get more stuff in it. It allows you to push it out a little further. And I talked about using those flat rate envelopes to your advantage.
That's right. Trish's greatest hits, her greatest UPS envelope hits.
Exactly.
We talked about UPS ground advantage.
USPS.
USPS ground advantage. And I got to talk about media mail. So that was pretty cool. Right?
Right. It was good. So we are going to keep trying to do a little bit more business. So every week when you listen, we'll try to give you a little bit more reselling business information.
Yeah. Oh, show. And then the big news was we talked about this a little bit earlier on, so I won't go too much detail on this. The catalog, the new catalog view, dashboard view rolling down to simple and business plans.
Right.
So you get a version of that view in all the plans. So get in there and check it out. And don't worry, everybody. You can go back to the original view. I think you're gonna kind of be missing out on some cool features. I love that left-hand nav bar that's got a lot of stuff kind of consolidated into that left hand, including Trish, your notifications.
Absolutely.
And
And
then
I mean, I think, Doug, you say you can go back to the other one. You can, but just like anything, things change, right? And we just have to get used to it. And I think if you spend a couple weeks and you get used to it, you're going to really love it and see how much faster and how much more intuitive and how much better your listing can be, how much faster.
And Trish, before we go,
Yes,
you
sir.
know how I like to tease and not open the kimono all the way?
Yes, I've
I'm
seen you
gonna
do that many a
I'm
time.
gonna tease with this. Not many people have seen this background view of what is this? It's my list perfectly, my listings, my new. Look at that cooking light. Who wants
I
a
was
cooking
gonna
light?
say,
Well,
what the heck is that stuff?
so that's the cooking lights. But this is a view. I do sell books. I've got all kinds of books there. Some DVDs, obviously. And then again, I love that left-hand nav. I love all the stuff in here. Easier to navigate. You can go back and forth. You can, if you so choose, resize your columns. You can hide stuff, navigate easier.
Like
And
your SKU,
this
you have Doug G. So like, why even have it there? They're all the same.
No, those are not all the same. That is a bin that has all these things in them.
Oh, okay.
That's one of the bins.
Okay.
A, B, C, D, E.
And can I ask why you need Doug there? Do you have other bins in your house that are A, B, C, D, and E?
That's an interesting question, Trish. I do have some other bins, but I guess I just put, I don't know why I thought I would put Doug D on there.
Okay, just wondering.
I don't know,
Just a
change.
little insight into your mind.
That's right. What works for me may not work for you. So you should not label your bins Doug with a letter.
Don't do that. I'm going to say
Obviously. And then so then the other thing, one little interesting thing we talked about is the new eBay series on LinkedIn called the Accidental Entrepreneur Lessons in Success.
yeah, definitely go listen to it. It was really good, and there's going to be more, right?
Yeah, there's going to be more regular, just Jamie Iannone interviewing resellers on LinkedIn, eBay sellers, how they grew their journey, how they started, all of that. And then we talked about Temu a little bit.
Yep, we did.
Based on Super Bowl commercials.
Yep.
Interesting little blip on the radar. Listen, guys, I'm just looking at listings. You don't have to tell me that I get 100% off five sales. I'm still nervous.
I know. I've got tons of stuff on there. You don't have to be nervous. What are you nervous about?
I don't know. Financial ruin?
No financial ruin. You'll be fine.
I'm not, not implying anything towards Temu, ladies and gentlemen. But great deals on there. Very interesting. A myriad of Super Bowl commercials. So they're trying to reach the American and European, and I think Canadian seller audience. They're going to expand. So that was very, very interesting. And then Super Bowl, there was and I had to be reminded of it, the Etsy ad.
Yeah, which didn't do it for me. I didn't even really understand it.
Well, France sent us the whole premise of the ad is France sent the United States the Statue of Liberty.
Tower.
So then we're like, we got to send them
the Eiffel Tower. The Statue of Liberty.
Statue of Liberty. And then we're like, we got to send them something. What do the French like? They like cheese. So we sent them a cheese ball or something.
I think it was a crudité. Wasn't it the board? We didn't send them cheese. They don't send.
Know what crudité is? English.
Charcuterie board where you put the crudité. At least I got the French down. I can't speak English very well, but I got the French down.
Crudité.
Usually
it's some obscure Boston-esque navigational puritanical pilgrim reference.
We do have a lot of those, but I don't think it's one of those. Dougie, as usual, this was fun.
Yeah,
even though
what did I do?
I don't know. That was just funny.
That's my new favorite word now. Crudité. My favorite word for a long time was bric-a-brac.
Bric-a-brac? It's a good word. We use that word here.
Now it's crudité, ladies and gentlemen. And on that note, but thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much. This was fun. We're going to be back. Looking at my schedule. Oh, we're going to be back Wednesday with Coffee Talk, which is Coffee Talk Seller Tips. And I think, what are we doing? Reprehensibles? What are we doing this week?
Replenishables. So this is going to be an interesting thing. This is a big topic that a lot of resellers talk about. Not many do. So we're going to talk about it and figure out if it's right for you and your business.
And then next week's podcast episode will also be based around replenishables for resellers.
Right.
Don't wait, ladies and gentlemen. Kim has final parting words. 2 words for you both. Don't change. Well, it's actually 1 word and a contraction. You both.
Thanks, Kim. Kim is the sweetest, you guys. She really is.
Yes.
Kim gets my adult Disney heart so much.
There we go. And recently seen in California.
She was.
Well, a trading company. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. We will see you back next month, and then we'll see you Wednesday, and we will see you on Listing Party. We'll see you on the podcast. We'll see you on YouTube's and we will see you at the movies. Thank you
Hopefully.
so much. Thank you so much. Go see Dune 2 March 1st.
Oh, Lord.